What is happening, everybody? Welcome back from Thanksgiving.
What's up? What's up? How we doing?
Fantastic. How are you, Joe?
Man, I'm awesome. How much weight did you gain?
Actually, I lost weight. I literally got on the scale yesterday. I was like, man, I feel like I'm losing weight. I'm down 10 pounds in like 2 months.
Everybody hates you.
No, I hate
normal
it.
people
I'm
hate
trying
you.
I'm trying to gain weight, and it's not work. I'm trying to beef up.
And I'm
trying to
saying
look
all
like
the normal
you,
people hate
bro.
you.
I'm trying to look
I'll
like you right
happily
now.
share about 20 of my pounds with you.
Okay,
right now.
so welcome to the lab. Thank you for giving us a week off last week as we spent time with our families. I hope everybody had a fantastic Thanksgiving. What did you eat? What was your favorite dish at Thanksgiving?
Dude, I made a whole tenderloin fillet. Oh, seared on the outside,
You didn't
finished
make a
in the
turkey?
oven. No, we went tenderloin.
Wow,
My
all
wife,
right.
my wife does this like Gruyere scallop potato dish.
Gruyere.
Man, it was fantastic.
Can't even
man.
say it,
Nice,
so.
nice bottle of wine, nice salad. It was fabulous. My mother-in-law made a New York cheesecake, like from scratch cheesecake. Ooh.
Is she New York? Or is she
No.
from New York? Oh,
No,
okay.
she's just creative, learned how to do it.
I think I have a new
awesome.
rule for my life. I'm
Okay.
not going to eat anything unless I can't pronounce it.
Starting today, let's go to a Vietnamese place today. Then
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna succeed.
Oh man, that'd be fun. All right, so today we are talking about limitations. So Joel, give us a little bit of context about why you felt like this was a good topic for today.
So listen, every single person at some point in time in their life, and I would say it's cyclical, seasons of life. You run into a season where you feel like I can't do this because, or this won't happen for me because, and you have reasons in your mind why you're limited or why you can't accomplish something.
That's good.
It could be the people that you're surrounded with. It could be a lack of finances. It could be a lack of education. It could be a lack of connections. It could be whatever. There's a gajillion different reasons. But if we're not careful, we can get stuck in life. And as a coach, I work with people nonstop. As a leader in a nonprofit organization, helping people to better their lives, I work with people nonstop that are stuck in their head.
Yeah.
It's just
It's all mental. It's all mental game.
And I'm sorry to say it like that because it can come across so harsh, or they're stuck in their feelings.
Yeah.
And they've got these feelings about something that hold them, anchor them into a place. They're stuck in anger, they're stuck in bitterness, they're stuck in resentment, they're stuck in unforgiveness. And they're in their feelings, they can't this because of that. And they're just stuck until they deal with the reality that those things are, I mean, we've gone over this a gajillion times. Your thoughts are biochemical and electromagnetic entities. They're real things, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just in your head, it's chemical reactions and electromagnetic things, responses, actions. It's more than just in your head. It's actually happening inside of you.
Yeah.
So it's real and it feels real, but a lot of it is self-induced, right? I read a study years ago that 70% of the diseases that we suffer with in mankind are caused in the brain. They're caused with how you think, because the way you think determines whether or not toxins are released or healthy healing chemicals are released, right?
Yeah.
So how we think is huge. And so each of us, we've had seasons where we've had disappointments.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, how many times this hustle idea has evolved? 3 times, right? Four times.
Actually.
So, I mean, so there, anytime, I remember we've talked through a lot of this stuff, but anytime you go through seasons where it seems like a failure, it seems like it didn't work. You know, what Thomas Edison said, I never failed once. I just learned 10,000 ways it didn't work. You know, it's like, so we talked recently about being kind of in a hurry to fail.
Yes.
You know, let's go ahead and fail because that way I can get it out of the way. I can learn and move forward, right? But we can also get stuck in seasons of limitation. So I want you as an audience to think about that. Start thinking about what are some of the limitation thoughts or feelings or beliefs. We'll call them limiting beliefs that you've dealt with in the past. Maybe some limiting beliefs that you're still dealing with now. We would love for you to send those in. Jump down in the chat, send in a limiting belief that you're dealing with. We can dissect it. What I want to do by the end of this is see if we can't rewrite some of those limiting beliefs and reverse them and create a brand new belief that flips the
That
script.
was one of the first things that you and I worked on together when I had originally approached you to be my coach, and I was like, hey, like, these are all the things going wrong in my life, fix them. And you were like, the first thing we need to do is write a phrase. And it was more towards someone, and we talked about this, I think, a couple weeks ago, but it was, how do you rephrase how you, every time you think about this person, you get this negative thought, right? Yes. But in reality, like, that principle of rewriting and retraining your brain with a phrase, like, for example, like, I used to always think like, oh, like, I failed, I screwed that up. Yeah. And now I have to stop myself, and I have to say, no, you're learning and you're going to be victorious. Yeah. You're going to win. You're going to win no matter what. And I have to do that. Otherwise, I'm just always down on myself, and I'm exhausted. And the funny thing is I feel it physically, just like you're saying, like, when I fail or when I make a mistake and I'm like, man, like, oh, Jonathan, why did you do that? And I'm so mad at myself. Like, I can feel it physically. But then when I'm down, I'm exhausted. And then when it clicks and I'm like, stop, like, you're going to be victorious. You're going to win. You're going to come out on top. You know, this is going to happen. You're going to be just fine. Like, this is a lesson you're learning right now. I can feel that. I can feel that change. And I can feel that, like, even right now as I'm just talking, you know, and I'm not even thinking about any, like, issue specifically, it's a physical feeling. But rephrasing and framing that, and my wife as a counselor, they talk about reframing all the time, but in a slightly different context, but more like memories and things like that. But it's all the exact same principle. It's all rewriting the script in your mind that happens every time that you fail, every time you feel limited, every time you feel like you can't do something. What are you telling yourself?
So with that said, if in the audience right now, shoot us a statement into the chat. We can look at that as we walk through. Maybe a place you feel limited right now could be, you brought up a relationship. You feel stuck with a certain relationship. You can feel stuck in a certain season of life, right? So let me give you an example. In the season that I created my Winology product, which is a winning system based on ancient wisdom, ancient knowledge that has been in use for literally thousands of years. This knowledge has been in use in different cultures around the world. And I had this idea. I'm like, oh my gosh, I could translate this ancient truth into something that fits right into the business world. It's guaranteed to work. And I began to help companies grow by 50%, 100%, 400%. Based on principles that were true that had been used through cultures all over the world. But I had all of these, I had all these roadblocks in front of me. One of my limiting beliefs was, so here I was a professional martial artist, okay? So in certain ways, I was really confident, but I was 3 years into college. I owned my own business. I was only going to college to get my business degree so I could run my business. And all of a sudden I had investors and my business took off and exploded. And I moved onto moved from the national to the world competition stage, and my whole life shifted, and I never went back. I just, I went to the counselor at the university or at the college, and I'm like, hey, what do I got? I got like 74 hours. I got to have something. They're like, oh, you've got this, associate's degree. I'm like, I'll take it, right? Just cash me out, kind of a situation. Never look back. Well, here, now I've got this idea that I'm proving inside of businesses that can revolutionize the way people perform inside of the organization. And I got an $11 billion company that's interested. And I've got to interview or pitch or demonstrate what I do in front of the top executives of this organization, that their whole department, they're over all learning and development for an $11 billion company. And I'm the Karate Kid, transformed.
You can't name drop?
No. At the time, it was a company called Whole Foods Market. They're now owned by Amazon. They're still called Whole Foods Market, but had a really cool opportunity there. And they had never had anybody from the outside come in and hired an outside coach. So I had all of these limiting thoughts. Number one, I don't have the education for this. Number two, this lady, her name was Nona. So Nona had the ability to say no. And if Nona said no, it's over. Okay. And so Nona could say no. So but I knew I had a great product, but I had these thoughts in my brain. And so I had to recreate the statements that I made. So instead of saying I don't have the education, why would an $11 billion company hire me, a college drop out, to come teach and educate. They've got degreed people. They've got their own whole departments. They've got multi-millions of dollars of training and development already. Why would they go with me? I'm just this, right? I had to flip that and say, you know what? They don't have a single person. They don't have one 6-degree black belt, 4-time world champion. They don't have anybody on their staff that's had a 3-day bloody nose from a kid in Poland. They don't have nobody on their team thinks like I think. I had to, and that may sound arrogant, but I had to create in my brain. So my statement was, my whole life has been the education for this. Everything I've ever done, I've only helped people win. Since I was 14 and taught my first martial arts class, all I've ever done is help people win, bring out the inner champion. My whole life has been the education for this. They don't have a single person that can do what I do. They absolutely need me. And number 2, number 3, number 4, Nona's gonna say yes. Nona's gonna meet me. Nona's gonna love me. Nona's gonna hear what I do, and Nona's gonna say yes. And every person I talk to, I would literally say, hey, when you think about me on Tuesday, I want you to say this. Nona's gonna say yes. And I had random people all over my life. I just want that out in the universe. Nona's gonna say yes. Well, guess what? Nona said yes. And next thing you know, this guy who had all of these limiting beliefs rewrote those beliefs. And next thing you know, I'm working with a multi-billion-dollar company, going to their headquarters every single month and training dozens of leaders in the organization. It was and it changed my entire life. But I was hung up on the way I thought.
Yeah, 100%.
So shoot us some ideas on that. Jonathan, talk about a time in your life where you were hung up.
As you were talking, because before the call, we were kind of reviewing some of these notes, and I was originally like, oh, this. But then when you're talking, I was like, one of the times I felt most limited, as far as like having limited beliefs, was when I was trying to sell my first company. And I was like, he's not going to, the potential buyer, he's not going to want it. There's all these issues there, what am I like? I just, whipped I duct taped this company together, I'm like, it's falling apart, he's going to find something and, it's going to. And what I never realized is that he was never buying the product. He was buying the dream and the concept. And so what I had to really change was, you've created an environment, you've created an idea, you've created a concept that somebody wants. And it's good enough. You are good enough. Your mind is good enough to have created a concept that somebody wants. And it has nothing to do with what was built. It has everything to do with what is possible in the future with that. And so it was such a limiting belief of like I didn't do this right. And I screwed this up, and I could have done so many other things, to have made it better. And, I failed. And because I failed, this person's not going to want this. And so, but he didn't care about any of that. I found out later he wanted the code for something totally different. And so, but it was all of that. And in the moments where we're discussing, I'm like, oh, I'm downplaying everything. I'm like, oh, well, this and that. And I was sitting there and I'm like, why am I devaluing what I've built, what I spent 4 years building? And I was like, because I don't believe it's actually worth what I'm asking for it. And so it was a internal thing. And what that translated to was, I don't think I'm worth. You know, I don't think I'm worth what I'm asking. And it was such an incredible lesson in my life to, even though I had those limiting beliefs, even though I had those, the patterns and everything, even though I downplayed it, we still sold it. We still went through it. And it was this moment of like, it's not about like what I built. It's about me. It's about what's in my head and all of that. And it's like, no matter what I tried to self-sabotage, because I was like, oh, I'm not good enough. I can't, So anyway, and a lot of it's fear. A lot of it's fear. Like, what if I'm found out? We walk around with this imposter syndrome of like, what if I'm, merging into a brand new industry, like going from SaaS products and software development, where I have just about as much confidence as you can have because I've built and sold multi-million-dollar products. I'm sitting there, and that takes time building up that confidence, and then going into this new industry of NFTs and Web3, and I'm like, I know what I'm doing, guys. That's a massive limiting belief of like, I'm terrified. You know, what if I'm found out? What if people realize I don't know anything about Web3 and that I have Pyro and Xiao and Dalton there, you know, to guide me through this? And my job is to be, you know, and so it's like when you look in the face of that imposter syndrome and you're like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay because nobody knows what the hell they're doing.
Sure. Like, and you have a difference between the visionary, like inside of my organization, you know, I've got, you know, working with our HR, you know, executive, she's like, look, we need to adjust some things in the organization. You're the visionary. You need to stay in the visionary seat. This is your implementer. He needs to be in the implementer seat. You got to keep being the visionary. You can't come over into this seat. Let him handle this place. And so as the visionary, as a creator, essentially neither one of us necessarily paint. We would see ourselves as artists on a canvas. Maybe you, I don't know, but not me. But both of us have creative minds and we create in the business world, we create content, we create all these different things. And anytime you're a creator, there's a constant fear. Okay, so I've written 2 books and published 2 books. There's this fear of, is my baby ugly? Yeah. Is anyone going to like my baby? Is anybody going to read my book? My right? So it's the same thing with the business. Is anyone going to buy my product? Is anyone going to love my baby? Because when you're creating, you're out on the edge, man. You're out on the edge. I mean, you're following a dream and you're following an idea. You've got, you know, and John and I were talking. It's like sometimes you know things and you don't know why you know them or how you know them, but it's a connection to God. It's the gift that's inside of you, whatever. But you have a knowledge of I know I can do this, and I don't know how I know or why I know or whatever. But what you believe about it is absolutely the difference maker, right?
100%.
So in the same season we're just talking about with the whole, you know, with what I was dealing with this giant company in my house, I'm writing a book on winning. I'm running a nonprofit organization. My wife is dealing with chronic sickness and chronic pain and having multiple surgeries. I got 2 kids. I got one in preschool. I got one in elementary school. And my wife was so sick that I was literally like a single dad 4 days a week, you know, and I'm having to run the organization, write my book, launch this new business, take care of the kids. I'm talking drive them to school, pick them up, handle all the homework, handle dinner, handle everything. I'm a single dad in the middle of this season where I have this dream. I wasn't a single dad. My wife was still there, but she was just sick. It was just a hard season. And I had to work through that season knowing that this is just a season, but I literally, so the limiting belief was, I'm never going to be able to accomplish what I need to accomplish because this is my wife's, you know, she may deal with this for the rest of her life. And maybe this is just my lot in life. And I'm never going to accomplish the things that I really have in my heart to accomplish because I'm a caregiver and I'm a dad and I'm doing daddy daycare and I'm doing nurse duty and I'm trying to run a business and I'm trying to handle it. And it was just too much and I was dying on the inside. But same thing, I came to a place of going, you know what? If this is my cross to bear, if this is the life that I'm supposed to, whatever, I'm gonna be the best dad I can be. I'm gonna be the best husband I can be. And I'm gonna believe that my wife's gonna get better. She's gonna get healed. She's gonna get there. We're gonna find the right solution. And again, instead of saying, I'll never be able to accomplish because, I began to say, you know what? I'm gonna make the most of this and my wife's gonna get better and we're gonna find a creative solution and all this kind of whatever. And the belief shift changed the whole atmosphere. And what people don't realize is that you create, like in the cartoons, you see the people that walk around and they got like a rain cloud over them. People create that. That's a cartoon.
And that's actually, and we talked about this like 4 or 5 weeks ago, something like that. But it's an actual physical ring. It's called the ring of intention. That and
it's your heart field too. It's also called a heart field.
Yeah, exactly, the heart field.
Your sister taught me that.
Same thing. Yep. Yep. And my sister's a genius. She's amazing. So the heart field is like this ring, this aura. When people talk about like the aura that you bring when you walk in a room, it's a physical thing that exists around you. And so it's really interesting when, you know, you think of your beliefs not just up here, but your beliefs being projected in a sense. And I think when, you know, when we feel like, you know, in your situation, when you're sitting there and you're like, I don't have the education to do this.
Yeah.
Other people recognize that. They pick up on that. Whether it's the heart field, whether it's it doesn't matter. People pick up on that, which is why most successful people just are confident. That's it. They just have confidence and they say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out. I'll get it done. Like, I'll do it. They have no freaking idea what they're doing, Nobody does.
Yeah.
Like when you wake up one morning and you realize that nobody knows what the hell they're doing in this life, and that everybody, it does not matter how much education they have, how much, and my wife taught me this too, because she's like, I went through all this schooling, but now I just have to like learn the real world, like counseling pieces, because she had, you know, I think it was 4 to 6 years of just schooling to be a counselor. And then she's sitting there and she's like, half of this stuff, you know, we don't even use. And we have to learn this. And she's done a phenomenal job, like picking up and learning and, you know, having that experience. But we all walk around with this imposter syndrome of like, what if I'm found out? But the irony is everybody is just operating with the bare minimum knowledge that they have to be successful. And that's why the most successful people in the world just have a sense of confidence. Yeah. And all confidence is a belief. That's it. Yeah. Is a belief that I can do it. And when you walk into a room, when you walk into a meeting, and I remember the very first, it was this massive deal, biggest deal I've ever done in my life, or not in my life at the time it was. It was like, I think it was $400,000 or something for this software project. I was like, I had the biggest deal at the time I had ever done was like $100,000. So I'm sitting there, $400,000 software deal. I'm like, this is bigger than I've ever, one of the largest nonprofits I've ever seen, massive boardroom table. I'm terrified, right? But before I even started, the entire way up the elevator, I'm like, you can do it. You can do it. You've got, you know, and I'm giving myself affirmations. I walk in there super confident. The first thing out of one of the board members' mouths was, well, you certainly know what you're talking about. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. It's belief, and people pick up on that.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So here's the thing. Anybody so you're like, nobody knows what the hell they're doing. Anyone that knows what they're doing isn't doing anything new.
Yeah, there's good.
They're in a job.
Yes.
If you know what you're doing, it's because you're in a job doing the same thing over and over again. You're not out on the edge. You're not doing anything new. You're not stretching yourself. You're not growing yourself. You're not challenging yourself. You're not taking any risks. So because each of us could say, yeah, I know what I'm doing in this area. But so Saturday morning, I'm launching a new nonprofit. Yeah. I've got 20 people that are invited to an executive board interest meeting for a new nonprofit organization. And the dream that I have that I want to create is so much bigger than me. I can't do it. I just have a dream about it. And so I got 20 different people I'm going to pitch and say, hey, any of you guys interested in this dream? Because I got this dream and I'm going to get behind it and I'll be a spokesperson. I'll be whatever. But I need the expertise that's inside of these other people, because it's just going to stay a dream in my head unless I share it with other people and get other people to grab a hold of it and jump onto it, right?
So that is, I think, one of the biggest limitations that people have in general is other people. And the realization that you're not...
This is good.
You're not enough. If your dream can be accomplished with just you, it's too small of a dream. It's too small of an idea. And the limitation that most people feel is, I need other people. The problem is that that's a good thing. Like, I've had to shift my focus from, I need other people, I gotta figure, because that's always been my limitation, is I have to use other people to accomplish what I need to accomplish, because I'm my worst enemy. I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, I'll just do it all myself. And then I waste all my time and I'm like, I should have been doing X, Y, and Z, but instead I was doing all these things that other people could have done, because I'm sitting there saying, well, I can do it better, you know? And so I think the limiting belief of I need people should be, I get to work with people and I can't reach here without people, because you have to use, if you're going to be successful at anything, you don't do it alone. That's hands down. You cannot do it alone. Because no matter how amazing you are, and trust me, I'm pretty amazing, but no matter how amazing you think you are, you have weaknesses. Yeah. One of my biggest weaknesses is management. I am amazing at creating something. I'm really good at coming up with an idea. And I know that about myself. And again, that might sound cocky or whatever, but I know that.
You gotta know what you're good at.
I know what I'm good at. I am the worst at building a consistent long-term management, so I hire people. Yeah. I have CEOs, I have COOs. I've got people in my companies that do the management and the long-term consistent, keep it flowing. Yeah. Because I'm always, idea, do this, create this. And so that's been one of my biggest limitations in my life, has been look at other people and say, how can I empower them to do something? And how do I let go of that perfectionism?
Yeah.
Because it's always, well, I can do it better.
Yeah. So, okay, you mentioned something really interesting, because the whole people thing is both sides, because you have to have people, but you might be surrounded by the wrong people.
Oof.
So I've had times in my life where I was inside of so the same season. I'm going back to my third. Now I've got my third limiting belief of the exact same season, right? And this, again, overcoming these beliefs changed my entire life forever. Forever. The things I'm doing now, light years beyond. The amount of success I'm able to walk in, light years beyond. Yeah. But I had to break through these belief systems. So the third belief system was that I was inside of an organization where the leaders that I had submitted to and that I was working with didn't see what was in me. They didn't value what was in me. And they were trying to put a cap on me and a lid on me and saying, stay in this little place. This is your place. Stay in this little place. And I had something inside of me that's like, yeah, but I can do this and I can do this. Yeah. I don't have to be one or the other. I have a different level of capacity and I can do both. You know, it's like, how many companies do you own?
A lot.
I mean, I'm involved in 4 companies, right? You know, it's like, it's like, you know, I just have a capacity. If I was only doing one thing, I would be bored out of my mind. I just have my brain works differently, right? So certain people, their whole thing, they're implementers, they're managers. That's how they're made to be. That's what they're made to be. But then you have the people that have this entrepreneurial whatever. So I was surrounded by people that were saying you can't. I was surrounded by people that were saying, you don't have this, or you have to choose. You can either be A or you can be B. You can't be A, B. You can't be both. And so I had to overcome and realize, and at the end of the day, I had to leave that organization and start my own organization so that I wouldn't have the limiting ceiling over me, pushing me down, telling me I can't be what I knew inside of me I was supposed to be, right? So sometimes you got to leave. Sometimes you got to find new people. Sometimes you got to, you know, I mean, so you got to recognize. So one of my principles that I teach is strategic partnership. So Jonathan and I would consider each other strategic partners. We're friends, but we're partners, and we do lots of different business things together. And he would look at me, I'm going to put words in your mouth, and say, there's a benefit to being in a friendship with Joel. And I would look at him and say, there's a benefit to being in a friendship with him. Neither of us are trying to get from each other. Neither of us are trying to use each other. But both of us see a symbiotic.
It's constantly, and I'm in a business relationship right now, which is very like complete opposite and very unhealthy. And it's constantly with our business relationship. It's and this is a topic we should dissect in the future, but it's very much every day. It's what can I do for you? Like where can that's how, like, where can I fit into your world? How can I help? What are my expertise? It's never like, ooh, how much money can I make from this person? And where can I, you know, and it's like, I mean, you do things for our business constantly that has nothing, you know, nothing to do with what you're actually paid for. And like, I'm always like, hey, how can I fit this in? And what can we, you know, and on the other side, an unhealthy business relationship and partnership is like, ooh, how can I, you know, where can I get, what can I, and constantly sucking the life. I mean, oh man, we've talked about people on this podcast.
No, it's important. It's important because, dude, you may be, I mean, someone right now, your limiting belief may be that you're in the wrong, you have the wrong boyfriend. You have the wrong girlfriend.
And the belief is I'm not good enough to find
I'll never find someone better than this, but you've got Stockholm syndrome, and you've got someone that does not treat you right, but you don't feel like you could whatever, and it's like you fall in love with the abuser kind of a situation. You may be in a business or working at a company, and you're surrounded by people going nowhere. And you've got to, I mean, the number one thing Jonathan was talking about earlier, he said, you have a certain type of friend. When I look at your friends, Joel, all of them are the certain type of whatever. And he is describing certain things. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. Because for me, the number one qualification to be my friend is something about your life has to inspire me. Yeah. Something about who you are has to inspire something in me and make me think, wow, if I could be around that person, maybe I could learn something. Yes. If I could be around that person, maybe I could, maybe something that's good on them might rub off on me. I'm not trying to get, I'm trying to, it's the iron sharpens iron principle. Maybe I could be a benefit to them. Maybe they could be a benefit to me. Maybe we could make each other better.
You know the humility that takes though? And like I watch certain business people that I've worked with and they're, you know, you're honored to be in my presence or you're graced with my, you know, whatever. And the amount of humility to just walk around and be like, it does not matter who you are. if you are an interesting person, like you said, if you have this quality, and it can be a quality, it's not about what you've done. It could be a quality about that person that rubs off and inspires and like.
So you have this one friend who's a horrible person that we're not going to mention his name or any of that kind of whatever, but he's just a taker. He's not really a friend. He's an acquaintance now or whatever, was a friend. Kind of, we'll just leave that. We'll leave it very vague. Anyway, but everything was, what can I get? What can I get? What can I get?
Yeah.
And only calling. I had someone in my life that was like that, and they would call me. And at the time, my father-in-law was the general manager at one of the nicest country clubs in Dallas. And so this person was friends with Tony Romo, who was our Dallas Cowboys quarterback.
Yeah.
And so this guy would call me and say, hey, Tony wants to come play the country club. Can I get, and he would call me the last minute, morning of, and he's like, can you get out, man? Can you get us on? Come play with Tony Romo. And it's like, hey, that would be cool to go play golf with Tony Romo. That'd be amazing. But really the dude only was using me. And finally, at the end of the day, I finally said to him, I said, you know what? Did you realize that you only call me when you want something? Did you know that? I want to say his name on camera. I want to say his first and his last name because the dude's a sucker. Nope. He's a jerk. He's a sucker.
Right,
and now I found out he's talking smack about me. Ooh, buddy, I'm coming for you. Anyway, so I said, dude, you only call me when you want something.
Yeah.
I said, you never call me just to be my friend. You never call me just to whatever. So there are times where you got to cut relationships and recognize this is a succubus relationship. They just want to suck the life out of me. It's a vampire, a psychic vampire friend. And you got to cut.
First, you have to believe that, number one, that cutting them is going to have value or bring value to your life. And number two, that you can find friends or have friends or, business relationships or, romantic relationships, whatever it is. You have to believe, number one, that you are valuable enough not to be treated like that. And number two, you have to believe that by removing them, someone else can fill that spot that is healthy. And so we have to go on a break in just a second. But when we come back, I really want to dissect how to number one, identify that it's a limiting belief.
Yeah.
And then number two, how to shift that limiting belief and everything. So we've really talked a lot about
how to rewrite. Let's do that. So make sure you put, if you haven't already, if you're watching the show right now, if you haven't already, shoot us in one of the limitations you feel like you're dealing with right now, or an area of limitation you dealt with in the past, and we'll see if we can't dissect some of those.
All right, guys, we'll be right back. Thank you very much. Welcome back, everybody. We are talking about limiting beliefs and limitations in your life. We spent the last segment talking a little bit about our personal experiences and the things that we've felt limited by and beliefs that we've had. So I want to dive right back in and talk about first how to identify a limiting belief, and then second, how to flip the script on that limiting belief. And so let's talk about how to identify limiting beliefs.
So first and foremost, a limiting belief is anything that you hear yourself making as an excuse.
Ooh.
Anything you hear yourself making as an excuse. I can't do this because, right? Before I got COVID, the week before I got COVID, I was doing marathon training. I ran 22 miles that week in 4 runs. So they're all 5 and 6 mile runs. Now, after COVID, I'm dealing with a lung thing, and I can't hardly run a mile. And it's a weird thing. So in my brain, as a 49-year-old, it's like, am I just stuck? I used to be a professional athlete. Now I can barely run a mile because I got a lung situation going on. So for
wisdom slows you down a little bit.
So is that in your life, where are the places where you're saying, I can't do this because, all right? And then what you begin to do is you have to question that belief. You have to challenge that belief. You have to begin to say, am I really going to let this thought rule my life? So that's the first step, is you have to question it. You can't allow it to own you any longer, right? So for example, there are people that their limiting belief is that anything that has to do with math, they can't do. because they think of math and they have a limiting belief. Then they think back to third grade where they were up in front of the classroom and trying to do whatever, and they had a stain on their pants and someone made fun of them and whatever. And they've got this fear of math or this limiting belief about that. It could be anything in your life. It could be relationships.
Yeah.
You could be in a place where like, I'll never find the right one, or I'll probably never get married, or I'll probably never be in love, or I'll probably, or my marriage will never get better, or, you know, whatever, if this is all it's going to be. Anything that you're making an excuse, you need to arrest it, okay? One of the ancient wisdom statements is you take captive a thought, right? You take a thought captive. And so you have to make sure that you begin to pay attention. Most people don't realize this, but you have millions and millions and millions of thoughts a day. You're only aware of 3 to 5% of your thoughts.
It's incredible.
Okay, most of your thoughts are subconscious. They happen automatically inside of your body. You don't think about blinking. You don't think about breathing. You don't think about, and in 3, 2, 1, I'm going to make this thoughtful pose. You just do things, right? And they're all thoughts that happen. So any thought that you can recognize is a thought that you can challenge. Go ahead.
Okay, so a limiting belief is anything that we say, I can't because.
This won't happen because I can't because. It's an excuse that you make for why you're not able to get in shape, start that business, write that book, make this relationship work.
So I can't run a business because I don't have the education. I can't do this because, I think the key word is belief, because it doesn't start as a belief. It starts as a thought. And it's a seed. And then over time, that begins just solidifying and you begin believing that. The irony is that it's like, you can look at anybody else in the world who's had like, for example, that's a great example. The whole, I can't start a business because I don't have education. Well, guess what? I went to Bible college and it has nothing to do with business at all. I've never taken a business course in my life. I read a lot of books, but I read them after I started business. You can start a business and you can be successful without education. And so that limiting belief gets more solidified. It almost goes from a limiting thought to a limiting belief to a limiting truth. And all of a sudden it's this solidified, this is concrete, it is never going to change kind of thing. And all you have to do is look outside of your mind and be like, wait a minute, they did that. Maybe I can do it. And you start turning that around. So that's how you figure out what a limiting belief is anything that you're saying, I can't do this because of this reason. And isn't that ironic that our brain justifies it? Every limiting belief, it's not just, I can't do that. Because if you think about it, everything you think you can't do, there's a reason you think you're saying because of X, Y, or Z. So how do we rewrite that script?
Right.
How do we rewrite the script of our mind to say, this limiting belief can be the driving factor of my success, and I can use it to propel and be the catalyst. Perfect. But before we get into that, I think we have a couple limiting beliefs in the comments. We asked last segment a few people to drop in and tell us what are some of their limiting beliefs, so that we can dissect those, and then we can talk about how we rewrite the script and how we turn a limiting belief into a catalyst for success. So we have one from Ghostus. He said, I have a limiting belief that I will fail at something when I start something new that is outside the comfort of my own skill set. And he expounded on that, saying, when I first started working on my restaurant, it took a lot for me to get out of my head and keep progressing forward just from that constant thought of failure, because it was something new that he hasn't done before.
Awesome.
That's real, Ghostus.
Yeah.
That's very real.
Thank you for sharing that. And it takes a lot of courage to share that kind of stuff. So thank you. Jonathan and I are up here sharing, bearing our hearts and embarrassing ourselves every week.
Hey, it's great.
Thank you for sharing that. You know, so here's, do you want to have a second one, or do you want to take them one at a time, or?
No, go ahead. Let's take them one at a time.
Here's the first and foremost thing. The number one thing is you challenge it. Okay.
It's good.
You do not let it have a preeminent seat. You start challenging it. Why do I feel this way? I don't think I like having that thought. I don't think I'm going to let that thought, whatever. I'm not going to, here's my first new thought. I'm not going to let that belief control my life any longer.
That's that captive.
Okay? You're taking it captive.
Holding it and you're saying, hold on, wait a minute. Before I keep letting like these neurons just keep going through, you're stopping it in its path.
The second thing you do is you go and so you want to identify that thought, you should write that thought down. Okay? I can't do this because I don't have the education. That's my limiting belief. I can't do this because my wife is sick and she'll probably always be this way and whatever. Yeah. I can't do this because whatever. The people around me, the people don't believe in me. And I don't have the right connections. Whatever the because is, you write that down, identify it, and anytime you hear yourself say it or think it, you attack it.
That's good.
That's the first. So you have to be. So you write it down. So you identify it as an enemy. Okay, that thought is your absolute enemy. I don't want to start new things because I feel like I'm going to fail. I'm not confident when I'm trying new things outside of. Okay, so the second, so you identify it so that you can attack it. You begin to argue against it.
Yeah.
The second thing you're going to do, or the third thing you're going to do, is you're going to rewrite an opposite statement. Okay. The opposite statement has to become your new truth. So for me, it was my whole life is the education. They don't have anyone that knows what I know.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of I don't have the education, I don't know what I need to do it. My whole life is my education. I've done this. This is all I've ever done my whole life. Yeah. They don't have anyone that knows what I know. It was the opposite statement. So anytime the thought would come in my head, I arrest it, I argue with it, and now I make my opposite statement. And my opposite statement becomes my limitless declaration or my limitless belief. It's an unlimited belief statement. Okay, so same thing. So with that one, now here's what I would do. I would say, you know what? I love to try new things, and I'm not afraid of failure because every time I fail, I learn.
Yeah.
And I love to learn. So I'm going to try as many new things as possible because the faster I try new things, the faster I'm going to learn and the quicker I'm going to fail my way to success, right? So that type of a thing, you recognize just the thought or the feeling of, I don't know if I want to try this. What if I fail? What if I fail?
Yeah.
What if I fail?
Yep.
I'm going to learn, right? I mean, to me, it's never a loss if you learn something.
My limitless statement, I love that. That's dope. That's such a cool thing. But in the beginning of business, my limitless statement was, I will fail faster than all of my competitors and it will create my success. And that thought pattern, because the fear of failure was literally what was stopping me from being successful in the first place. Right. And so I was like, I'll just fail faster.
So you have to learn to appreciate failure.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to appreciate failure because every time I fail, I learn and I'm one step closer to my victory. Okay. So flip this as a professional martial artist. The whole goal is as a fighter is don't get hit. I want to hit you. I don't want you to hit me. Yeah. But if I fight my whole fight trying not to get hit, I'll never accomplish the goal of hitting you. The only way that I can hit you is if I put myself in position to be hit myself. Right. So what I had to do is I had to learn an appreciation for getting hit. Yeah. That was a good one. Ooh, wow, that stung. That was a good, well done. And so most people, when I talk to people who don't do the martial arts, have never done, they're like, man, if someone ever hit me, I would just go crazy. I would just lose it. I would go nuts. And I'm like, no, you'd get your butt whipped is what you'd get. Because if you lose control, now you have no opportunity to the number one thing I want to do is get you emotional. If I can get you emotional, I will own your butt if I can get you emotional. So the number one thing
is the art of war.
Yes. so for me, the revelation of I have to learn to enjoy getting hit. Yeah. I got to learn to appreciate getting hit, because if I don't learn to appreciate it and enjoy it, I'm not going to be in position to deal my own licks, right? And as a shorter fighter, fighting taller guys, I had to come to the realization that I'm always going to get hit first. Yeah. Because I have to cover the distance. They've got this long range, and I've got to cover the distance and be willing to get hit first so that I can have the reward and the pleasure of plowing them in the mouth.
It's the same principle on anything.
Absolutely.
Like business, you have to enjoy losing money. You just do. And you got to learn to love making money, but you also have to enjoy the process of losing it, because in the process of losing it, you are learning something. You're learning, all right, putting that much money into Facebook ads. This business doesn't want Facebook ads, or putting that much money into Google ads. You'll never, ever, ever know what succeeds in business if you don't put money towards it. That is the reality, especially in marketing. I mean, that's marketing 101.
Yeah.
If you don't spend money on marketing, you don't know if the billboard's going to work for you or not, or you don't know if the mailers are going to work for you or not. And so even in a relationship, it's not like you need to learn to love being broken up with.
Yeah.
But you have to have an appreciation for the process, because that process is what ends up. How many times did you get broken up with before you met your wife?
Oh my God. Hundreds.
You know, oh, damn. All right. Shoot. I actually had never gotten broken up with. I was always the one breaking up with girls.
Killer. He's a killer.
Until I met my wife. She was the first person to break up with me. And I was like, all right, now I want her. So, because I wanted what I couldn't have. And so.
See, that's why I was a good salesman, because I wasn't afraid of rejection.
Yeah, exactly.
I got to get, how many no's do I have to get a yes? You know, just keep asking. Just keep asking.
Well, a haircut like that, and you'll never get rejected again.
I heard I look 10 years younger is what I've been told, you know. This is my World Cup. This is my World Cup cut. My daughter told me I look like a soccer player. I'm like, Lord. Score.
Okay, we got to get somebody to keep us on track here. All right.
This is why people listen. It's for the entertainment.
I love it.
Edutainment.
I love it. So there's this respect that you have to acquire. If you're going to be successful in life, there's a respect that you have to acquire for the opposite of your fear.
Pain builds character.
Yes.
Pain is my friend.
Like, I'm scared of being broken up with. Why would I love again? And it's like, you would love again because of the end result. You love again because it's always worth it. You love again because no matter how, look at, people say, oh, I've been broken up with so many times. Why would I ever love again? Because you loved again after you got broken up. So every time you break up with somebody, you will find somebody else. You will learn. Like, dear God, learn. Please, for the love of God, don't date the exact same people over and over again. But it's the same in business. Don't do the same thing over and over again. Learn and adapt. But when you have a healthy respect is really what we're talking about, of the negative, the thing at the end, the failure, the thing you're scared of the most. And when you say, when you change the limiting belief to, I will love again because I've been broken up with multiple times, and that has taught me how to find the right.
So you could say that the limiting belief would be, there's no one out there for me. There's no one else out there for me. Yeah. I'll never find this. I'll never find true love. So let's say that's the limiting belief. I'll never get married because I'm no one's going to love me, or I'm never going to find that person, or whatever. So you have to start attacking that.
Yeah.
Okay. What? What? No.
Yeah.
Of course someone's going to love me. And then you begin to look at yourself and evaluate yourself. Okay. Are there things that need to change about you? Do you need to make yourself more attractive in certain ways? Do you need to whatever? I mean,
it's just all about where you look, because you're focusing on people breaking up with you. But for that person to have broken up with you, they loved you, at one point. So somebody loved you. So shifting that mindset from like, I was loved multiple times, like people appreciated me. What did they appreciate about me? And how do I focus on that? How do I be a better version of myself?
Right. Or why did they leave? What was it? Was I too needy?
Yeah.
Was I too naggy? Was I too preoccupied? Did I play video games too much? Did I whatever? Was
that your problem, video games?
No, I never played video games.
I didn't either.
I was just not a video game guy. I hated being a real martial artist and playing fighting games, and little nerds would beat me up on a screen when I could beat them up in real life. It just wasn't fair. Anyway, so but that whole idea of did you mess up that relationship? Be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
I messed up this relationship. Yep. I mean, I was thinking, I've got a friend that's no longer my friend. I messed up the friendship. I messed up the relationship, and I'm bummed about it. But I'm like, dang, okay, I need to learn that lesson. I don't want to ever lose a friend like that again, right? And so you have to be real with yourself. Did I let myself go? Did I stop caring? Do I not brush my teeth enough? Whatever it is, be honest with yourself. Go to work on yourself, and then you make a new statement. No, I'm going to find someone because I'm fixing these things in me, and I'm going to make myself attractive, and I'm going to make myself valuable, and I'm going to make myself whatever.
And we're talking about relationships, but this is everything. This is business. This is all of it. Like, the amount of times that I've just felt like such a colossal failure in business. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm just a punk kid. I'm repeating all the things people told me.
Yeah.
You know, like, who are you? You're just a kid. You don't know what you didn't go to school. You didn't, all these things. I'm repeating them. But if I look back, I'm like, yeah, but every single time I failed, I took a step up. Every single time I got better. Every single time I went and bought a book on whatever I failed at.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at finances. I'm horrible. So I've bought so many books on finances and how to manage and how to make sure that, you're putting money away for taxes. That took me years to figure out. I had to learn so much about taxes because I was like, I don't know, but it's all failure. So we have another one from Jared. I think I may have limited myself from relationships, losing friends and family at a very young age. I may have created a survival technique as to not get hurt, and so I wouldn't get close to people.
That's real, man. Thank you, Jared, for sharing that. That's real. And I don't know. We talked about Enneagram stuff. The number 8 on the Enneagram, essentially they're a protector, they're a self-defender. That's what it's called a challenger, but that's one of the things. They put up walls because of past hurts. My wife is an 8, right? So I'm very familiar with that type of a thing. But it all comes down to trust.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not going to this because I'm not going to let people in because and it's a trust issue, right? So I don't trust. So I'm going to put walls up. I'm going to put a facade up. I'm going to put a whatever. Man, thank you so much again for having the courage to share that. That's really real, and so many people deal with that. And so again, you got to challenge it, and then and begin to question that and say, you know what? I'm not going to live the rest of my life in fear of losing a relationship. I'm not going to live the rest of my life in fear of getting hurt again. I refuse to live that way.
What's the cheesy phrase? And I know it's cheesy, but I absolutely love it. Is it's better to have loved and lost
than never to have loved at all.
And it's like, you can apply that to anything.
Absolutely.
It's better to have had a friend and lost than never to have a friend at all. Or it's better to have started a business and have lost the business than to never have done it at all. Life is about experience. That's the only thing you can take with you after you die is your experience. That's it. Not your cars, not your anything. You know what I mean? So it's like life is about experience. When you're laying on your deathbed, you're not going to think about, wow, I really wish I wouldn't have, spent time with this person or what. It's all about what was the experiences that you got to have in your lifetime, and the boldness to just jump out. And like, I know that's kind of a random tangent off of yours, but honestly, like it's so much better to have done it and lost than to have never done it before.
Definitely. So, perfect example. My first daughter died of brain cancer. Yeah. That sucked. That absolutely sucked. And she was 18 months. So it wasn't like, we've had miscarriages. That hurts. That's horrible. But to actually have the baby and have the baby and it be perfectly healthy. She was perfectly healthy, and then get sick and then die 18 months later. Horrible experience. And the fear of having another child and them having a sickness and I was a paranoid parent. But to say, well, I don't want to have another kid because I might whatever. Well, my kids are the richest things in my life, right? And so it was worth it to risk it. But I had to overcome fear, massive fear of something happening to another kid or something happened to whatever. So here, this is an interesting thing, and I'm actually creating a whole new series around this thought. Is the fear of or the statement, I can't make it through that.
Ooh.
I'll get emotional talking about this, so I'm not going to go there. But that mindset, I can't make it through that. I can make it through this, but I can't make it through that. That was one of the most unbelievable limiting thoughts of my life. And what I've realized is that sometimes the thing I thought I couldn't make it through, oftentimes, is the thing I actually had to go through.
Yes.
Right?
Isn't that ironic?
And so now I've got this thing in my brain going, I know I can't make it through that, but now I'm in it. And I'm on the other side of it, and I did make it through that. Yeah. And what happens is when you make it through the thing you don't think you can make it through, you begin to learn that you can make it through anything. Yeah. You can make it through anything, right?
It's
so
true.
so to say about a relationship, okay, to go back to the Jared thing, I put up walls. I'm afraid of losing. I'm afraid of ruining another relationship, ruining another whatever. So I put up walls and I keep people away. Okay. So the number one thing is you begin to, you question it, you challenge it, and you say, you know what? I'm not going to live that way any longer.
Yeah.
Period. I'm not going to live that way any longer. And so the new statement is, I'm going to learn how to trust again.
Yeah.
I'm going to learn how to put myself out there. I'm going to learn how to drop my walls again a little bit. It's better for me to, and again, this is a return to innocence, right? So a childlike innocence, the innocence of a child. When I see Callan, Callan smiles at me. He just whatever. Callan's not side-eyeing me. He's not looking me up and down, going, "I don't trust you, sucker." I've seen your type before. He hasn't learned to be afraid of creepy people, right? So you have this idea where there's an innocence of your childhood, right? An innocent, childlike faith that is to be all of our goal, right? But life jades us. So for you to say, you know what, it's worth it to me to find that place of childlike faith and joy and whatever. I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna put myself back out there. I'm gonna be willing. They may reject me. So what? That person. How many rejections? What's a rejection really gonna do? I'm alone already.
Yeah.
I'm isolated already. Yeah. So why not put myself out there and see if I can find? And you have to take that statement needs to be probably streamlined down. And I'm not. I don't get into relationships because I'm afraid that I'm going to ruin another one or whatever. Yeah. So now you recreate the statement and say, I'm going to risk relationships because I believe that I can make good ones.
Oof.
Right? Oof. I believe I can make good relationships. So I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to lower my walls because I believe that I can be a better friend than I could be in the past. Right? Good. So that's what it comes down to is how can I be a good friend to you?
Yeah.
If that's my goal, ancient wisdom, whoever is friendly will have many friends. That's an ancient statement from 4,000 years ago. Okay. But so for me, it's like, how can I be a good friend? If I can be a good friend to that person, Jonathan and I both believe in sowing and reaping, giving and receiving. We believe in sowing seeds and making investments. And it's all, it doesn't matter if it's money, is it generosity, or is it mercy? Yeah. Is it kindness? Whatever seeds you're sowing, whatever you're putting out there, how can I be super friendly to this person? If I can just keep being friendly and keep putting out seeds of friendliness, I'm going to reap a harvest of friends. Good. Right?
That's good. I think a huge precursor to all of this is the just believing that it's possible to change, you know. And I think about even recently, even just yesterday, it clicked. I have this terrible business, this business I'm a part of, and it's just sucking the life out of me, and I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I don't want to do anything with it. And I'm figuring out all these ways to make it better and all this stuff. And then yesterday, you were like, wait a minute. Why? You can say no. Mm-hmm. You can remove this from your life. And and my mind just blew because I was like, wait a minute. The only limitation I had was what I gave myself. Mm-hmm. The only jail that I was in was the jail I put myself in, right, thinking that it was not possible to say no and to not do this. And so that's reversed. Mm-hmm. Is the only limit that you've put on yourself, the only jail that you are in right now, whether that's I can't have relationships, I'm putting myself in solitary confinement, whether that's I can't get out of this situation, I can't quit my job, I can't do this, I can't do this. The only jail you're putting yourself in is what you've put yourself, the only jail you're in is the jail you've put yourself in. And so really just believing, hold on, nothing in your life can't change right now. There's not a single thing in your life that cannot change. Yeah. And that's the realization. It's just, and I've always thought like that, but for some reason, this business, this particular, I was just so close to the problem that I couldn't see that I could get out. Yeah. And it's like, dude, you're fulfill your commitments and leave. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa, there's the jail cell open. And so it's so powerful to realize that there's not a single thing in your life right now that cannot change.
Yeah, it's true.
Your job well, I don't want to say your marriage, but
it can change. It absolutely can. Dude, I've seen miracles happen. I've seen my wife and I have been married 27 and a half years now. It is a freaking miracle. We're not supposed. We weren't supposed to make it. 90% of marriages end in divorce when you lose a child.
Yeah,
we're not supposed to make it.
Yeah,
but we continue to say, you know what? We're not getting a divorce. We're not going to talk about divorce. There were years where my wife did not like me at all. There were years I didn't like her either, right? But we're not getting divorced. We're going to work through this. No, we're going to, we know we're supposed to be together. We're just going to keep.
And it's not about being miserable the entire time. You guys have built a relationship that I personally envy. I think it's amazing. I look up to it. I'm like, how can I learn from you and from your experience? And it's like, that is such a powerful lesson across the board, is like, you can make something better. Yeah. You can change something. You can, whether that's a job, and just getting out of something is not always the answer. That's not what I meant, but you can change it.
You can heal it. I've seen the worst. I've seen horrific marriages I've got friends that both people were unfaithful to each other, like revenge unfaithfulness kind of stuff. And they figured out a way to love each other and forgive each other. And 20-something years later, they still are crazy in love with each other.
Yeah, they're happy. It's not about just being miserable the whole time.
No. So here's the big piece on that. And I know we probably have to wrap up soon. But it's always, guys, it's always about personal responsibility.
Oof.
Always. What's if you want to have
just shut down? They go, nope, click off.
But okay,
done.
you want to have a good marriage?
Yeah.
What do you need to do? Who do I? So for my wife to be happy, who do I need to be? Yes. How do I need to serve her? How do I need to take care of her? How do I need to provide for her? What I can spend all my time saying, well, she just can't be happy. She doesn't know how to be happy. I can spend all my time saying that kind of stuff, making excuses, having all these, well, it's never going to work because she can't be happy, and doesn't matter how much I do, and blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter how much I make. You can say all those things, or you can say, hey, babe, how can I serve you better? What can I do to make your day great today?
Yeah.
If I know my wife loves to be surprised with flowers for no reason, she doesn't want flowers on her birthday. She doesn't want flowers on the regular random, or she wants random out of nowhere flowers that she didn't expect. That's what makes her feel. My wife wants to feel thought about.
Yeah.
She wants me to be thoughtful.
That's good.
The problem is I get obsessed with whatever I'm doing. And wherever I'm at, if I'm in a coffee cup, I'm obsessed with my coffee. If I'm creating, if I'm wherever. So my problem is I go into the cone of creativity or whatever meeting or whatever board thing, and I don't think about anything else.
Yeah.
And I'm completely unthoughtful about whatever I'm not doing. I'm only thinking about what I'm doing. And that's part of my compartmentalism and man brain. I don't know what's wrong with me. But
you know what? This whole man brain thing, I have a spaghetti brain. So I don't know if I got the wrong brain or...
You are a little feminine in some ways. I'm just joking.
All right. So... oh my gosh.
Got a little woman brain going on up there.
We do.
It's white matter. It's gray matter and white matter. This is real science. Do you know this?
Yeah.
Real science.
Yeah. We went over it a couple weeks
ago.
Yeah,
I'm sure a month ago or two. So,
but that can apply to anything.
Yeah,
personal responsibility in business, in any of it. Really, I mean, as a leader, you have to sit there and you have to ask yourself, like, what did I do to contribute to this situation? What can I do to fix it? And how can I make this situation better? When you don't take responsibility, nothing can be successful. And so, and that, sure, that's a small tangent, but it goes right into the limiting beliefs as well, because you have to take responsibility, like you said, of the mistakes you made to lead to the belief that you have. What did you do that so many relationships failed that you can fix? Because that's reality. You have to believe that, number one, you can fix yourself. And number two, where did you go wrong that you can fix? Because the belief didn't come out of thin air.
Yeah.
You thinking that you're not good enough didn't come out of thin air. Somebody told you you're not good enough. You felt not good enough. So you have to look at your life and say, okay, like, what did I do that was good enough? How do I, and anyway, I'm trying to wrap all this into one concept, but it's massive. Like, this is a huge topic. And so at the end of the day, it's all about identifying the limiting belief, taking that captive, just holding it for a second, saying, wait a minute,
Attack
writing it down, then writing down the reverse statement.
Yep.
What do I believe about myself? How am I going to be successful at this? And that limiting belief is I will never because. And then the positive statement is like, I will because. So how will you be successful? And what in the past can you attribute that success to and everything? Where have you had success in the past? And then really taking personal ownership of those things. How can you better yourself long term? How can you improve yourself every time that you face a failure? Because there is no progress without failure, and there is no progress without improvement after failure.
It's good.
So
it's brilliant stuff.
I love it. All right, guys, thank you very much. We hope you have an amazing Wednesday, and we're looking forward to talking to you guys next week as well.
Yep. Share it around. If you're watching this, if it inspired you, if it blessed you, share it, subscribe, all the above.
Awesome. Thank you guys very much. Have a great Wednesday.